The bustling city street was alive with noise, vendors calling, cars honking and pedestrians rushing about. Yet in the midst of it all, a desperate cry shattered the rhythm. An older man, his face etched with grief, stumbled into the crowd. His weathered hands shook as he clutched his chest, his eyes red from tears. "My son's terminally ill," he cried, his voice breaking with raw anguish. Passers-by slowed, some curious, others indifferent, but no one dared to stop. His knees buckled as he fell to the cold pavement, begging strangers for help. His pride discarded in the face of his child's suffering. Not far away, a young man in a sharp black suit, holding his phone to his ear, turned at the sound. His brow furrowed, confusion giving way to concern. He had just stepped out of a corporate meeting, where power and money dictated every conversation. Yet this sudden plea pierced through his polished world like a blade. He lowered his phone, staring at the man on the ground. At that very moment, a cheerful young woman in a soft pink sweater walked past, her smile radiant as she waved casually to someone. The contrast was striking, her carefree joy against the man's unbearable grief. She barely noticed the scene, caught in her own world of laughter and light. The businessman's chest tightened. Memories of his own childhood surfaced. The sound of his father's tired coughs, the endless hospital corridors, and the fear of loss that once haunted his nights. He swallowed hard, realizing he stood at a crossroads. Walk away like everyone else, or step into the pain of a stranger. The old man lifted his trembling hands toward him, eyes pleading. "Please, he doesn't have much time. I can't afford the treatment. I'll do anything. Just help me save him." The words hung heavy in the air. The young man in the suit felt the weight of his own wealth pressing on him. For years he had guarded his fortune, never letting emotions weaken his resolve. But now, confronted by a father's desperation, something stirred deep within him. He took a slow step forward, his voice steady but laced with compassion. "Tell me, what hospital is he in?" "I'll go with you." The crowd, once silent, began to murmur. The old man's tears spilled freely, a flicker of hope igniting in his broken heart. For the first time that day, he wasn't invisible. And so, with one choice, the young man unknowingly set into motion. A story that would change both their lives forever. The night had fallen over the hospital, wrapping the city in silence. Inside the dimly lit room, the businessman sat quietly near Liang's bed. The boy had drifted into a restless sleep, his small hand still clutching his father's. The old man's head bowed low, exhaustion finally pulling him into a half-slumber in the chair beside him. The businessman leaned back, his thoughts restless. Something about this situation gnawed at him, a strange tug in his chest, as though fate was pulling him closer to this family for reasons he couldn't yet explain. He looked at Liang's face, so fragile, so innocent, and an unexpected tenderness stirred inside him. Just then, the door creaked open. A nurse entered holding a clipboard. She hesitated upon seeing the well-dressed young man, but then approached softly. "Sir," she whispered, "are you the one covering the boy's treatment?" He nodded firmly. "Yes, money won't be an issue. Just make sure he gets everything he needs." The nurse's eyes softened with gratitude, but then she lowered her voice further. "There's something you should know. The boy's illness is rare. His condition can improve with treatment, but—" She glanced at the sleeping father. "The truth is, Liang is not his biological son." The businessman froze, his breath catching in his throat. "Not his son," he repeated, his voice barely audible. The nurse nodded. Years ago, the old man found Liang abandoned outside a temple. The child was barely a few months old. He raised him as his own, giving him love and shelter despite his poverty. He never told the boy the truth. He didn't want him to feel unwanted. The revelation struck the young man like a bolt of lightning. He turned his gaze back to Liang, his heart pounding. The boy's features. Why did they feel strangely familiar? The sharp curve of his jaw, the brightness in his eyes. It was as if he had seen them before, long ago, in faded photographs from his own family's past. Suddenly, memories rushed back. His mother's tearful voice, the whispers of a baby lost, a brother he never knew existed. His chest tightened, realization dawning like a storm. Could it be? His hand trembled as he reached for the boy's blanket, pulling it gently to cover him better. For the first time in years, his hardened exterior cracked. If this child truly was the missing piece of his family, Then fate had brought them together for a reason. The old man stirred awake, catching the businessman's intense stare. Their eyes met, and in that heavy silence, the young man knew answers were buried here, waiting to be uncovered. The hospital corridor echoed with hurried footsteps as the old man guided the young businessman inside. His breath came in short gasps, and his hands shook as though each step might fail him. Yet his determination to save his son gave him strength. At the end of the hallway, a pale boy lay in a small ward surrounded by machines. The businessman froze for a moment, staring at the fragile child before him. Liang's small frame looked almost lost beneath the thin white blanket. His lips dry, his breathing shallow. "Papa!" the boy whispered weakly as his father rushed to his side. A faint smile spread across his tired face. "You came back." The old man's tears returned instantly, but he forced a smile, gripping his son's hand. "Yes, my boy. I'll never leave you. I've brought someone who will help." The businessman slowly stepped closer, his sharp suit and polished shoes out of place in this world of pain. He knelt by the bed, lowering his voice. "Hello, Liang. I'm here to make sure you get better." The boy blinked at him with wide, curious eyes. "Are you a doctor?" A small smile touched the young man's lips. "No, but I promise you'll get all the help you need." The old man's voice trembled as he explained. "The doctor said his treatment costs more than I can ever earn in my lifetime. I begged everyone, but no one listened. Until you stopped today." He bowed his head in gratitude. "Sir, I have nothing to repay you with, but I will forever pray for you." The businessman's jaw tightened. In his world, money was just a number, yet here it meant life or death. For the first time, he felt the true weight of wealth, not as power, but as responsibility. He turned to the father, speaking with calm determination. "Don't worry about the cost. From now on, everything will be taken care of. Focus only on your son." The old man broke down, his tears flowing freely as he clutched the businessman's hand. Hope, which had nearly died within him, flickered back to life. As the boy drifted back into a fragile sleep, the businessman remained at his side, unaware that this single act of kindness would soon unravel secrets that would change all their lives forever. The morning sun streamed through the hospital window, painting the room with a soft golden glow. Liang stirred weakly, opening his eyes to see both his father and the businessman by his side. For the first time in days, his lips curved into a genuine smile. "Papa," he whispered. "I dreamt I was running in a big garden. I wasn't sick anymore." The old man's heart ached, but he forced a smile, brushing the boy's hair gently. "And one day you will run again, my son." The businessman remained silent, his gaze fixed on the boy. The nurse's revelation from the night before echoed in his mind. Liang is not his biological son. His thoughts swirled. Could this fragile child be connected to his own family's painful past? He had to know. Summoning courage, he turned to the old man. "There's something I must ask," he said quietly. "Where did you find him?" The old man hesitated, his hands trembling. After a long silence, he confessed. 10 years ago, outside a temple, he was left in a small basket wrapped in nothing but a thin cloth. He was so small, so helpless. I couldn't walk away. I took him home and raised him as my own. I never told him the truth. To me, he is my son. His voice cracked with emotion. The businessman's chest tightened. He remembered stories from his own mother about a lost child, a baby who disappeared without a trace, leaving their family broken. His hand shook as he looked at Liang's face, so familiar, so hauntingly similar to his own childhood photographs. A surge of emotion overwhelmed him. He placed a hand gently on the boy's small shoulder. "Liang, you may not know it yet, but you're not alone. You're family to me too." The old man looked up, confusion clouding his eyes. The businessman met his gaze firmly, tears threatening to spill. "I believe this boy is my brother." The room fell silent, heavy with the weight of truth. The old man's lips parted in shock, and Liang's tired eyes sparkled faintly with wonder. At that moment, the barriers of wealth, poverty, and fate crumbled. They were no longer strangers bound by chance. They were a family reunited by destiny. And together they would fight to give Liang not just a chance to live, but a future filled with love.